Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for Mashin Sentai Kiramager 34? It's 33 or 34. I don't know why I'm forgetting the number, but it'll be right in the description and the title and all that. And this was a fantastic episode, a fantastic second part to last week's surprise epic episode that started as what seemed to be just a really fun, funny filler and then was like, boom, finale level stuff. And this was basically kind of felt like a finale. Like, it was weird. Like, I don't necessarily know if I would be like, oh, I'm so satisfied with this series if it ended here. I mean, decently. I'm not saying it should have ended here, but, like, I was surprised at how finale-like this felt in a lot of its elements, and there was a lot of action in this episode. So, last week, you know, we had Garza summoning 3 monsters to the field. He used a pendulum summon to set the scale, and he summoned 3 of them at once, and they're all attacking the city, so the Rangers are basically trying to formulate a plan, and I really like the scene where they kind of have this, like, war room table and they're trying to figure out strategically how to do it. There's a lot of, do you like to do it yourself when the mood strikes? I like that there was a lot of strategy in this episode, both here and then we get to see the strategy enacted, and then like later in the episode they like midway through the battle change strategy when they figure out what they need to do, and it just made the Rangers come off really smart and like thinking it through. And during the battle, you know, we but we get to see Juru and the King link up. And that sort of establishes things that they can do later in the episode as far as plans go, and he sees Garza's attacking him, and we cut to Garza a couple times, and long story short for that, he's basically, you know, holding back the King and saying, I hate you! Like, that's basically, you know, more or less what he's about. He just hates everything he stands for and his toku nonsense. And it's kind of funny because there's a couple bits of like, classic toku nonsense. It's like, they'll prevail because friendship and bonds and blah, blah, blah. But, like, it's actually nice to see them prevail because they're actually smart heroes and not because of toku nonsense. But so anyway, that establishes their connection, and then when we go out into battle, it's super cool because you get this awesome shot of Tamateo and Juru transforming in front of the 3 main mecha, and then we get to see them fighting on the ground and, I almost said in the sky, well I guess sort of, but you know, and in the mecha, which is not only cool visually, but I mentioned before I love that Kiramager will do that and allow for a little bit of a mix of the stale Sentai formula, which is something I also like about Go Busters, and we really got to see that here physically of like, hey, we can have them on the ground and in the mecha at the same time. Because those two are going to rescue Sayo, who's still in the underground with the seed, because they also still need to get the seed. Because in addition to the monsters attacking, obviously their main goal is for the seed to explode and turn the place into Jotunheim. So when they get to her, she's being held hostage, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna summon the king, and she's like, you can't, because don't forget about the hostage, and he's like, ha, joke's on you, we're a dyad in the Force. Unseen for generations. So because they're connected, they pull off a scheme, and they're able to summon him and free her, and trick her without having to worry about the hostage situation, basically. And then you have the other guys distracting and fighting, and there's a bunch of different cool shots. And then, you know, once everyone's out and he's able to free the king, then the big battle starts. And it's, you said, all 4 mecha against Garza and the 3 monsters, and there's a cool lineup of all of them, and it's a really cool fight, and it's like a fight and a game of keep away at the same time with the seed. And there's a bunch of different really cool shots and like strategies, because like during it they figure out like, oh hey, you know, they have these setups, we need to figure out how to beat them with this, and so they use a bunch of different strategies, like cool stuff with the helicopter attack, which is kind of cool, seeing it spin on the chest, and then when Grateful finally blows up the main monsters, there's a really cool shot of it. And they obviously ultimately wind up succeeding by coming up with a plan of doing like a giant Kiraful Go Arrow attack because of the thing they found out about the shrinking and the growing and the taking over of consciousness and all that, which was really cool. And then, you know, the end is basically the voiceover of the king talking about like, you know, this is why the team persevered, because of their individual strengths and their strengths together and blah de blah, while Garza's walking away all mad like, oh, we could have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids, I hate toku nonsense. And yeah, it was just really good. Like I said, a lot of really good action. Like I also said, again, there was lots of just really cool shots and choreography in the fights, whether it was seeing the big fights and the small fights together, or even within the mecha fights, there was lots of really cool strategies and was more than just, you know, turn-based combat, what it sometimes feels like when the mecha fights, you know, it's like clang, clang, finisher, you know, it was really cool. And like I said, it was really neat to see the Rangers strategized, like I said, both before and then during the battle when they realized what they needed to do to beat the monsters and then to destroy the seed. And that was all just really cool because it made them come off as smart and something more than just, we can do it because of friendship. I thought it was really good, and like I said, it felt like a finale. It seems like it just came out of nowhere because we're just in the later half of the series, but we still have, what, like, maybe 15 episodes, give or take. I'm not sure how long it's gonna run, but just depending on how long it runs. But we still have a decent amount of episodes, and this felt like finale-style stuff. I think it was, I mean, its purpose obviously was to be awesome, but I think its purpose, story-wise, is really just gonna drive Garza further mad. Like, not like crazy. I mean, maybe, but I mean like angry, because he was just a lot about his hatred and his evil stuff in this episode, and the fact that they all beat him and persevered over him, I think is going to drive him to be further, well, driven to defeat them in the end. But yeah, overall, great episode. I absolutely loved it. But what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder.